and welcome back. Today we are finally doing the Heartstopper retrospective look back thoughts of mine, and I am very excited. I'm just so excited. I've been sitting on my ideas, my thoughts. I've been popping things in my notes over the last week probably. I can't tell how long it's been since Heartstopper happened because it lives up here forever. You know what I mean? But I'm super excited to be getting into it. Firstly, thank you all for watching the the actual videos. It means a lot, and I'm just happy to be able to talk more about it, and that people actually wanted me to do this look back. I don't know what to call this, to be fair. So we'll call it a retrospective, but that just might be me wanting to use a bigger word. But yeah, so it's gonna be a fun time. Firstly, I'd like to say I'm sorry. This video is probably going to be all over the place. In structure-wise, I'm very used to I talk a little bit, I watch the show, I talk a little bit at the end. So all talking is going to be kind of weird. Well, I say that, but I think like half of my comments would probably disagree because they're always telling me I talk too much. So to be fair, the talking's not the problem. It's just not breaking it up with a TV show or movie. But yeah, a lot of this video has a lot of overlapping like themes and like questions and topics. So I'll try to structure it as best I can. By the way, I've got a notes page in front of me, like a long thing of different things to talk about to keep me on track. So hopefully it will flow somewhat, but there's a lot of like, you know, if you're talking about Nick, and then you're talking about something about coming out, and then you're talking about a favorite character, and then like best scenes, a lot of them kind of can like slot in and out. So I will do my best, but forgive me if I repeat myself at some point. So the structure we're kind of doing, what I'm following, I'm just letting you know. I've got timestamps at the bottom. I think, hopefully, I've done it well. But you can jump, you can skip all me talking plenty. Like, we don't need all this all the time. But we'll do some, like, character deep dives. I'm gonna just look at all the, like, our main cast of characters, talk a bit about them, if there was a comment about them, talk about what we wanted to talk about, you know, just my thoughts that I've been sitting with on different characters. Then we'll be doing a character tier list, which I am super excited about. I love tier list content. Tier list content is just so fun. Could be controversial. We don't know. You know when you're like watching someone do a tier list and theirs completely doesn't like match yours, and you're like, holy shit, what? Like, am I the outlier? Or like, what's going on here? Or like, why would you put them there? So forgive me if your favorite character is not at the top, but you know, we'll be doing a tier list, and I'm ready to throw some wild cards, you know what I mean? Probably not, it'll probably be pretty stock standard. And then, you know, I was gonna do like episode look backs, but I think my videos really cover the episodes, you know what I mean? Like, I've talked enough, especially to some people, about what I've talked about in those. Those kind of cover them. But we talk about stuff from, like, different episodes throughout this video. So that should be fine. Also, sorry I talk with my hands so much. You never realize that until you watch yourself talk. So that's a thing. But yeah, and then after that, I've just got some, like, other stuff, questions from the comments, which I really enjoyed and wanted to pop in. Some of them are, like, direct, like, we should talk about this, and I was like, yes, they are fantastic ideas, I will. And I think one or two of them might have just been, like, a thing where I was like, I want to talk about that, and I think it's really interesting. I don't really know what the go is with adding comments into videos, but I've seen people do it for like ever, so I will just take I took the ones and just popped them in. I hope that's okay. Also, thank you for commenting. To everyone, and for asking the questions, because some of the questions prompted such like thought for me, which I really enjoyed. Like, there's myself writing down my own dot points, but then answering a question, I really feel like I have to like get into the detail because it's not just coming from my brain, it's coming from someone else. So the comments have been fantastic. I like seeing all of them. I love the comments. I love seeing what people are thinking about the show. Just, it like makes me enjoy it somewhat, like the show even more, just to have that like community of like people talking about it with you and like to each other. It's very fun. So commenting questions or commenting anything, thank you. I've been very much enjoying. Also, if you have any things that like I missed, let me know. I can answer it down below. I could do another one of these. There's probably not going to be enough content for it, but I think I could just answer anything that you want me to in the comments below. But for now, let's get into it. Okay, first character we're going to talk about is the man himself, Nick Nelson. Cheering effects, I don't know. But one of my favorite characters, my beloved character, I obviously am wearing the bloody shirt he's in for a reason. A big fan. But this season was great for him. A lot of like very interesting, serious topics to talk about. We had a lot of like serious like growth for him, a lot of like scary issues that he had to deal with. I think the main two like thoughts and issues and like plot points of his was definitely coming out and family, which has also been a main thing of like the show and for different characters this season. But there's a lot of stuff about, you know, coming out on your own time, who you owe coming out to. Do you owe it to anyone? You know, should you come out? Do you have to? I think there are very interesting plot points that they have come up, and it really helps bouncing between Charlie and Nick, between, you know, because Charlie was outed, so he has this whole kind of thought process on how he wants it for Nick. Nick has his own thought process. We've got, you know, the viewer who's watching has their own opinion on it, which is really interesting because no one opinion or way to come out is correct. And I like that they give so much on, you know, Nick wanting to do it, setting himself deadlines, wanting to do it now or here or there, or wanting to do it to certain people, which I think is interesting. Then we get to see Charlie, who's kind of like, you know, do it, don't do it, you don't have to rush, I want it to be good, I don't want you to be bullied, you know. You have this sort of other force that's telling Nick, you know, maybe you don't have to. And then even his mum, which is a good tie-in, being like, you know, your father or anything, you know, you don't have to come out. If that's your decision, you never have to. Which I think is great. I think it's great to give us all these different options of whether you should, shouldn't, have to, whether you want to. And it really does boil down to, and obviously it's the correct answer, it's a personal decision. It's, you know, whatever that one person thinks and agrees with to, like, for their own self is the way you go to it. Oh, like, go about it. But I liked that they give these other options, because I think a lot of times in like media it's kind of skipped over, and also it's good representation or knowledge for I think a lot of like young queer people. I don't know how the world works anymore. I ain't as young as I used to be, so I don't know how it's happening, how the young kids are doing it. But I think it's really important for people to know, especially like, you know, Nick saying that he has to and he wants to is good. You know, wanting to do it and showing that resolve is fantastic. But also hearing other sides, because I feel like a lot of people would fall into the category of Nick, you know, wanting to get it done, wanting to get it over with. You know, it can be, I think in times, a bit of a burden. It's not the easiest thing to do ever. There's a lot of complications, you know, family. Obviously, there's, you know, 1,000 million things that could go wrong or could stop you or could really impact it. But having these other, like, voices given to people in media is very, like, is so useful and so valuable to anyone, I say younger queer people, but to really anyone having to deal with coming out, to be told that, hey, maybe you don't have to. Maybe you don't have to rush it. You don't really have to do it at all if you don't want to. I think they are very valuable. Or like, wait 10 days, 10 months, 10 years, when you want to, that's when you should do it. You don't owe anyone anything, and you don't have to do it now, which I love. I thought that was good. I thought that was a good message to spread, and just to like show, because I feel like in a lot of like media, you just have people come out and it's all fantastic, or it's horrible, or they skip it, and there's not really this like talk around it, which I really like their approach on it. And then you have his family issues. Not the only family issues we've got during this season, but I think I did a big spiel about a couple of the different family members. But I think Nick's dad is, like, Nick's brother sucks. Yeah, sucks. We don't like him. He, I feel like, was made to be the bad guy. He sucks. Like, there's no, like, redeeming his character, and that's what he's for. And the actor did a fantastic job, because I don't know about you, but I hated him so much. To his core, I was ready to punch him in the face. So, the actor, props. You did great. I think I've seen a couple interviews of him. Obviously, they're probably all super sweet, but, to play a villain well is, props. His dad was very interesting in the way that I liked that it wasn't just focused on his relationship with him was already strained, not showing up and stuff. And then you had him also wanting to come out to him, which just adds this whole other thing. But I won't go too much into his dad, but I like that at least they gave him a little bit of like time with the, seeing him in Paris, then jumping to them having dinner, which was the best dinner party ever. So much drama, so much fun. But I liked that they dealt with the issues of his dad as family issues, and his brother had the issues with him being bisexual. Like, it wasn't the dad didn't need to jump so hard on that bandwagon, which was good. I like that they keep them separate in a way. Obviously, his dad could have been, horrible and not accepted him, but I like that they kept them separate in a way. I don't know if anyone gets what I mean. I think I'm rambling a bit, but I liked that the dad was kind of like, Charlie seems like a good guy. I don't understand it, but I'm fine with it. And we just had to deal with him as an absent father. So it was good just to not have that doubled down for Nick, because Nick had a tough season. He was freaking out a lot. He was having some issues, which was tough to see because we all love Nick Nelson so much. I think we all love Kit Connor so much. I wrote in my notes, acting was amazing. Kit did so well, which was like, everyone did such a good job. But I think when you like a character so much, they obviously shine more in your eyes. Kit did so well. All the scenes were fantastic. He was such a fantastic actor. I think everyone in the first season, he was also fantastic. Everyone really has gotten better. You can tell. I feel like all the emotions felt better, more genuine. The acting was all fantastic this season. I think that was a big step, not even a step up. Like, it's not that they didn't do fantastic in the first season. They all just did so well in the second that it was a standout. But, and Kit Connor has become Nick Nelson. You know what I mean? There were some scenes where I was just sitting there, like, watching, and he would just, like, turn and look in certain ways, and I would just think, and I haven't read the comic in a while, but I could just see the drawings of, like, Nick Nelson. I don't know if anyone experienced that, but I was just like, he is that person. Like, he has become Nick Nelson. Every time he looks at the camera, I can just see I don't know, the casting is fantastic. And I know if anyone watched, and I will not be able to accurately say where this was, but Kit Connor did a video. It was like a gym video with some gym guy. And I think a lot of people watched it. I saw it all over Twitter because Kit Connor didn't have a shirt on and everyone was freaking out. But the video was really interesting because they were talking about how when Nick got the part, a lot of people didn't think he was like casted properly because he wasn't as like, I think, tall or like muscular, and that's what sent him to the gym. I don't know, like, I haven't watched that video in ages, so I don't know how much I'm just pulling out of thin air or what was actually said. But the fact that he thought that, to me, now he just looks so he is the perfect, obviously it's because we've had the 2 seasons with him, but he's just like perfect for the role. And I think, I don't know, I obviously they probably could have casted someone, and if we had them for 2 seasons would like them just as much, but I just look at him and he's just so similar to the comic. Just like the smiles, it's fantastic. I think they did great. I've got to stop because I will just keep gushing on Kit Connor. We are going into our first comment, because also some of the comments were like 2 to 3 parters, so I've broken up some of them into different sections. So, someone said, and I've done a great job, I'll add the comment on the screen, but I didn't actually write down who the comment was from. So, sorry, my notes are horrible. I'm a horrible person. I thank you for the comment. But, it said, love to hear your thoughts on episode 3, as to what you think was making Nick ill. I don't think it's what his mum thinks is a problem. Which I went over because I quickly went through all the episodes of season 1 and season 2 to do some favourite scene stuff for later in the video. And I looked at this episode and I was like, yes. Obviously, I don't think it's what his mum... I think she said, heat stroke was an issue. But for these questions, I'm just going to read my response. So sorry I'm staring directly at the screen, but I have some, some of my notes are dot points. Some of them are full answers that I popped down. So I'm just going to read it out and then maybe we talk about it a bit more. But for this question that will be on the screen, I said 100% I think it was fear and anxiety that was plaguing him. It was the fact that he was putting so much pressure on himself to come out and wanted to do it on a deadline, which there is no problem with at all, but it can cause a lot of stress on someone, especially when you might not be ready to do it. He was so focused on coming out when he hadn't really done it to anyone outside of his inner circle. Plus, I assume he was very scared of what the response might be. The rugby boys were more of a risk than anyone else he had told. Plus, deep down, he probably still values them as friends and wouldn't want to lose them, / would hope their reaction would be positive. This pressure obviously built up into him as the visuals we got on screen of people close to him being disappointed to him.
Eat on my brother. Are you sure you're not just gay?
Sneaking around with him.
Pick a side.
You promised you were going to come out.
I should have done it together.
This is exactly why I didn't want to tell you.
As we also see in those visuals, a lot of it stemmed from bi-erasure, on top of all his other worries. I think he was scared people wouldn't understand him. They wouldn't believe that he was bi, or that's how he identified. That it is the label he identifies with, and that he is just using it as a cover. And that's horrible to think about, and I think that all of it is what contributed to his overall anxieties. Also, wow, I forgot how hard reading is. But that was my answer for that question. I really think it was just pure dread, anxiety, and pressure. I think Nick has been putting a lot of pressure on himself this season, which is never healthy for anyone. Obviously, it can keep you going a bit and keeps you on point, but at some point, too much pressure, too much stress, especially put on yourself, can be hard. External stress, I feel like, is very different because you're always used to dealing with that. But if you're, normally pretty relaxed or fine with the decisions you make, and then you just start throwing all this, internal stress into yourself, it's just going to make you feel like shit. But yeah, the rugby boys were I feel like while they weren't talked about too much, they're still very important to Nick. He talks about, wanting to come out to them. They're his friends. He doesn't, we don't get to see them too much, but you know they're people that he values their opinion and considers friends, even though he's taken a break from them. You know, Harry is the reason he's not around then. He knows that these are people he wants to know, and the thought of, you know, them, you know, not accepting him or something could be really hard, because I feel like he started with his mum, which is always, parents are the hardest, but with Imogen and all Charlie's friends, obviously, as a pretty queer group, they are a safer bet. They're, you know, Al and Darcy and Tara, they're all going to love and accept him. And I think that's the hard thing with coming out to the rugby boys, is that it's his first coming out that could really reject him in a way that I don't think he was ready for. And I think that's slightly what put a lot of pressure onto him. Also, the whole bi-erasure thing would, I think, definitely be, because everyone, especially when we saw that in that episode, we saw the people come up and, you know, you're just gay, or like, oh, you should be out, and all those like visuals come up. I think he's worried that people won't believe he is who he is, and that's also something that's just fucked. And obviously it stems back, a lot of the Nick Nelson stuff in this season echoed what he had to do on Twitter when people kind of, I don't know all the details, but I know a lot of people were just saying along the lines of, you know, wanting him to come out in a way, because I think it was them not, you know, not knowing who he was playing Nick Nelson. You know, I think a lot of it stems from people not wanting a straight person in a queer role, and that forced him, who he was like 17, 18, to come out publicly to millions of people, which was a lot. And I think they referenced that obviously in this season when he was coming out, and he'd be like, you know, I'm bi actually, and, you know, it's rough, especially because his coming out was so good when he was like posting about it on Instagram in the show compared to him on Twitter in real life. So it's very interesting, all the things they've done with him. I love the whole topic. As I've said, I've talked about it. Coming out is a very interesting thing, and I don't think it's talked about enough, really. They talk about it, but they don't go in depth of the different like ways about it. So I really think it was great this season to have those voices. But that's most of my feelings about Nick. You know, Nick, besides all that, was just stunning. Like, you know, Kit did well, Nick did well, he's just an absolute cutie. But yeah, they're my thoughts on Nick. Next character, Charlie Spring. Now, with Charlie, I feel like I don't have as much on him, even though he's obviously the main character, or one of the main characters, and a very interesting character. He had some serious storylines. I feel like I have talked a lot about them, but from what I've got on Charlie, we're talking about perfection, because I thought that was such an interesting thing that they brought up. You know, this notion of him wanting Nick to have a perfect coming out, which is beautiful. Do not get me wrong. Charlie's feelings for Nick is amazing and lovely and so cute, and him not wanting Nick to go through what he had to when he was, you know, outed and bullied is amazing. But I feel like Charlie's but his thoughts about perfection are very strong, and that worries me, because a lot of things for him have to be perfect. And I think in a world, not a lot of things ever happen perfectly, which is really tough, because it's a beautiful ideal, and I think that is something that everyone should strive for. But a lot of the times, as a realist pessimist, perfection can lead to disappointment, which is what I feel like a lot of Charlie's smaller struggles within the show, because he's obviously got very big things that he's dealing with. A lot of the smaller ones and anxieties come from, I think, a letdown of things he wanted to happen, never going his way, or to the standard of things he wanted. But I think that is not a bad thing. wanting things to be perfect is good. I hope he like grows with that, because I don't know, it's a thing that's interesting that they haven't. I wish they talked on, maybe being like, perfect is hard to do. I feel like that would be a great plot. I want them to talk about the perfection, because there's definitely a theme that came up a couple of times. Because he talked about it, and then the last episode, I'm pretty sure, was titled Perfect, which is the prom, which was very cute, but far from perfect, But it didn't really have much to do with them, but, things didn't go great for everyone in the last episode. And then speaking of the last episode and my notes, we come to his self-harm and eating issues, which I don't have the most to talk about, because I am not the authority on that. I don't know enough about it. I wouldn't want to say something that's triggering or insensitive. I don't think I would, but I just don't know enough. I am very happy he told Nick. I think I'll talk about that more in my favorite moments of the season, or standout moments, but him telling Nick was fantastic. I'm happy, he's opened up, because Charlie is one of these characters who is so strong and puts everything on himself. We've seen him, helping with Nick's exams and stuff like that. He is a helper, he's a giver, and he's giving a lot, and that's, I think, very stressful on him. And the amount he gives, he needs to receive, even if he doesn't want it, because I think when you give so much, there's never enough of you left to survive. And when he's always helping his friends, he's always helping Nick, he's not concerned as much about himself. And it's not, that's not talking about anything, it's also just mentally, to give all of that and not take anything back can be tough. So to hear him vocalizing his issues and talking about it with Nick is fantastic, because Nick then knows what he can try to give or what Charlie may need, even though we can see that Nick doesn't know enough about self-harm or his eating issues. He doesn't know what he can do, but at least he knows he can go on the steps to be able to help, which is fantastic. And I think being able to vocalize your issues is good, and just being communicative, that word is hard to say, is such a fantastic step in the process of trying to help get better. Also, I got a little dot point about bullying. That I will go back to bullying a lot more when we cover Ben, but I like what they did with bullying, talking about how it sticks with you, because I don't think that is sometimes, when you have a show or TV show or movie about bullying, a lot of the times they're either been bullied while you see it, or you see the effects of it later, which is more what we did, which I enjoy, because it doesn't show all the harsh, gruesome stuff all the time, which we do see glimpses of, but the after effects are really important to show, because it teaches people that this isn't a thing that just happens isolated 1 year, then everyone's peachy, everything's fine. It's something that's horrible and sticks with people, and even the smallest things can be kept and held on to for years. And it's obviously you could say, oh, just let it go. Sometimes it's impossible. I feel like everyone has some comment that has stuck with them, or different bullying or stuff that has happened in their past that they'll still keep, and it's not anything to do with the person's fault that they can't let go of that. Those are things that just dig into you, and it's weird. So I like that it's and we do deal with that, and kind of promote some, hey, let's maybe be nice. How about that? That could be a good time. But I think the more things that talk about that, the better, because it really highlights what words and shit things can do to people, and that it's not just the thing that happens quickly. It can be a lifelong thing, and that sucks for the people that have to endure it. And think before you speak. How about, yeah, let's do that. Think before you speak, or type, or text, or, everything, because it could affect someone. But I mean, everyone said mean things, and we're mean to our friends and stuff. It's where the line is and where you have to draw it to not cross it, because being mean, everyone's going to be mean sometimes. I'm like backtracking because I'm like, when you're with friends and stuff, you'll always have like fun banter, like hazing, but I feel like knowing where the line is, and I know Ben crossed that line a lot and he sucked. So obviously, have fun, but know where to not be a complete asshole. Yeah. That's the moral that they're trying to go for. But that's it on Charlie. He comes back with Ben because they, unfortunately, are intertwined. But we're gonna be looking at Tao. Now, Tao, wow, what a new improved version. From season 1 to season 2, well, the end of season 2, Tao has just like, I don't know, like, he's just cemented his like way into the top echelon of my like tiers. He's just become so good, and it's because he has started to, communicate, talk, accept, like, learn things about himself and start dealing with things, which is fantastic, about how mature he's like thinking about his own emotions. I said that improvement from season 1, he was just too protective, and it makes sense, but when he faced his feelings about not being alone, it made him grow and realize that even though when people are moving on or like doing other things, will never mean you're not alone. You know what I mean? Like, just because they're doing other things doesn't mean they'll stop loving you if you're, true close friends. I think a big turning point for Tao this season was learning about his dad, which I thought was super sad. Like, it was awful to hear, but it was really important for his character, because you kind of hear that and you're like, when he talks to his mum earlier in the season, I'm going to jump back, you're like, oh, he's lost his dad, we now know what it is that, could drive him to be the way he is, but we didn't know like how close it had happened. And then when we get him connecting with Nick in the last episode when they're preparing for the prom, you go, holy shit, like, it only happened, probably a couple of years ago, I think, from my memory, and you feel for him. You know that a lot of his behavior is due to, grief and loss and not wanting to lose people and, being scared of that feeling. And while, sometimes his protective nature and assholiness cannot be excused, you understand it. You know what I mean? You feel that and you go, shit, he has been going through so much, and I feel like he just hasn't been dealing with it, especially in the first season. In a way, a lot of the focus is on other things, and him never getting to vocalize that with his friends. But it was horrible to hear about, and it made me so like sympathetic for Tao, and just, I got it. And the way that he grew through the season, besides us figuring out that, or like learning about that, and just seeing him accept that, he is scared of losing people, but he has to realize that people move and change and grow, and that might not always change your relationship with them, and you might never truly lose them, which I thought was fantastic. The other thing that was great about Tao this season was him and Elle. I wrote, him and Elle were so cute, but they really need to communicate. They were constantly one step forward, two steps back. Wow, were they a yo-yo couple? Because they just kept back and forth, up and down, up and down. It was just like, come on guys, communicate. Because their cute friendship, they were already dating. Like, let's be real. Let's, throw shit away. They were dating before, when they were friends. The cute gestures, the whole, obviously people can be close. I'm not trying to say that anyone that's close definitely means they're dating. But I feel like they were in such a good place, and then they got feelings for each other, and then just completely went like two separate ways in like, you know, Elle, I feel like, distanced herself a bit and she was scared he was changing and he's changing for her, and there was just no communication. So when they finally started communicating in Paris, and, you know, communicating was not always good, but when we got to that, you know, we like each other and we don't have to change, you know, we like each other for who we are, everything just became fantastic. They were such a cute couple, you know. They weren't beating Nick and Charlie, but they were definitely up there. I think they were like my maybe third favorite couple. Nathan and Yusuf were pretty cute. I enjoyed them a lot. But they were just adorable and I liked them so much. And Tao is just, Tao. I wouldn't have even thought in my wildest dreams him in this season being as good as he was. But they got him so well. If season 2 did anything well, which they did everything well, it was Tao. Tao, they did fantastically. But it's that time again to move on. We're going to Elle. Elle, I don't really have as much on. I feel like while she is a great character, she didn't have too much to do this season or talk about. I think, you know, obviously the art school stuff was really interesting. I just think there are a lot deeper topics to like look at and, you know, dissect. But I loved her painting. Like, I thought that was one of the standouts of the season with her, seeing that like safe space painting, her putting that, you know, for everyone to see, and just showing how valuable her friends are to her. And, you know, that extends to a lot of people with friendship groups, because people who like love you and support you are always going to be your safe space. And obviously connecting that back to Tao, showing him and Charlie and Isaac that they are all so special to her is fantastic. And I loved it, and I thought it was just beautiful. I've also just got down new friends. She has new friends. That's cool. that's my dot point. But I put under it really positive things for Elle this season. Seeing her spread her wings, going to art school, getting accepted. It's a big step for her and going further away. But I think it's so good for her to be with those like-minded people. I think like a place like that would help someone like Elle flourish. And it's just exciting. Like there's no deeper bits. Elle was a very positive character this season. She's got a lot like going for her going forward. I think it's fantastic. And I don't know, I'm just excited for her. The next character we're going to is Darcy. Darcy. Wow. This season was a lot for Darcy and for her storyline. And all I've got written, well, no, I've got a decent amount written, but my first dot point is mother. Wow. Which, right? Like, God, she was a fucking bitch. Excuse my potty mouth, but also, it just comes with the territory. But she was awful. Like, I feel like I have a couple of other things to say, but I really said my piece. I did a real big piece after, what would have been episode 6 or 7. I gave my serious thoughts on her mum and people and parents who aren't ready for, you know, to be supportive and loving. I gave a whole spiel on that, so I'm not going to go over it. I think what I wanted to say about that has been said, but ooh, that mum sucked. Like, she grinds my gears, more so than Nick's brother, 100%. But the other bits I've got written down is, I feel a reason she isn't good at sharing her feelings is she can't at home, and she can't, like, practice, like, sharing feelings, in a safe space. So that's why she finds it hard to do with Tara, because obviously we know she's not talking about her feelings at home or, like, you know, her loves, her secrets, talking about herself a lot. But I feel like when you're not getting that, being able to do that in your home life sometimes, that is a reason that she may have found it hard to do with Tara, because, you know, getting used to sharing that much, you know, I feel like starts a lot earlier, and not allowing her to have that, or not feeling safe to be able to do that, really, you know, was hard on her. And Tara would be the perfect person to start doing it with. Obviously, we know Tara's going to love her and accept her for what she wants to say, but I feel like that's just held her back because she doesn't know how to articulate a lot of the things that she probably does, because she never had the opportunity to do it. I also wrote, with her mother being really strict, it shows why she makes a lot of things a joke. She either doesn't want it to be as serious as it is at home. She wants everything just to be more fun, or that if she is not making as many jokes or being funny and filling empty space, she's thinking about her life at home, which I think is not far-fetched, but a lot serious and sadder of a thought to have, because, you know, wanting things to be more fun than it is at home, and that's why you're so jokey and fun and not serious, you know, that definitely makes sense, and it's a rough thought, but I definitely think it could be real, filling space with jokes and funniness because you don't want that silence in your head, or you don't want your brain to go back and thinking about going home, dealing with your mother in your home life, is definitely something that could be happening with Darcy. I think it's a horrible thing and it's a sadder thing, but I feel like she keeps up this high energy, because if she stops for a moment, you know, those thoughts creep back in, and I feel like that is the reason. To me, that's more of a reason why she's always so energetic, always so jokey, always so fun. She obviously lets down her guard sometimes, especially when trying with Tara to help Tara when she's coming out in season 1. But I think she doesn't want those moments of quiet, because then she has to think back about her home life, which is really sad, but it's just, in my head, it makes sense. I could be looking too far into it, but I really am excited, is the word, to see what they do with her storyline in season 3, because I think there's some serious things that could be coming out of it, and I'm very interested in the way they continue doing Darcy's storyline, mother, and how they're gonna not even resolve, but work on these issues, or where, you know, Darcy's going to live, all those things. So I'm excited, apprehensively, not excited. I want to see it a lot, but it's going to be an interesting one. But obviously with Heartstopper, I think they're going to do it with the utmost care, respect, and seriousness, which is going to be fantastic to see what they do with it. But that easily leads us on to Tara. Now, Tara was an interesting one. We didn't get too much of her this season, which, you know, we got a lot of her, but the focus was on Darcy, rightfully so. She had a lot of things going on. So Tara was fantastic. I just don't have as much on her. I have just one word. Well, I've got 2 dot points. The first one's one word. Just says trust. Obviously, I think she wants to be very open with, and, you know, the I love you was so powerful, and she wanted it to be so good, and then when Darcy doesn't reciprocate, I think a lot of things really scared her, and in a way, it's super valid. Obviously, if you say I love you to someone, even if they're not ready to say it back, to not really acknowledge it sucks. But in a way, I feel like we hoped that she could trust her enough, because we could see things that, you know, maybe she's not seeing. But I like what they did with that of, we know she trusts Darcy, Like, we saw that as she was kind of trying to bring it up with her more and more. We know she trusts her, but she wants to be let in. And obviously, from her perspective, that's all you could want. Like, as a person who has the partner that's having, like, issues or maybe not communicating, that's all she would want, is to be at least let in a little. But my next point was, going on from that, learning about Darcy's mum. I think as soon as she met Darcy's mum / heard her speak, it was probably like an awakening.
Your own mother can't tell you the truth about an outfit. Who can? She looked like a lesbian. She'll realise she was in the wrong and she'll come straight back.
Okay.
Not a good one, but just more insight to Darcy's home life than she had ever had before. And I feel like she would have understood why Darcy isn't talking, even though she wanted her to talk about it. I feel like you could probably, their resolve and them talking about things was fantastic. It was good to them being open. But with Tara just like meeting Darcy's mum, she would have understood everything. And I liked that scene because it showed how horrible it was. It's hard to like that, but I think it was super important for Tara to see. And then them having their little opening up scene was like so emotional and like sad and lovely and cute. And then Taylor Swift started playing, and I just had too many thoughts going on. And it was mostly just, wow, I love Taylor Swift. It was horrible. You can't put a Taylor Swift song in these episodes because I just go blank. But I rewatched it in editing and stuff, and the scene was just so good. Like, it was so wholesome, which is obviously a big feeling of this show at like all times. But yeah, not as much for Tara. We're jumping down to Isaac. Isaac is an interesting one. Isaac has this whole fan base, which I like. I definitely got a lot of different like Isaac comments on different videos, and I enjoyed it because they're like, oh, please show, like, it'd be great for people to show like more Isaac stuff. And I feel like the reason is that I don't put a lot of Isaac stuff in. It's just they're very short scenes, and a lot of the times I'm just, putting things on YouTube and chopping them up sometimes is like the worst thing because, copyright can be a real bitch to navigate. And when you've got this really nice scene sometimes, and they were scenes with Isaac, I feel like I was just watching and like listening because I'm not as like well versed in Isaac and what he was discovering about himself and feeling. A lot of the times I was like, not saying anything because I was just enjoying it and like learning and going with him, and I just say nothing, and I can't just add the whole clip in because I'll get copyrighted. But I think Isaac's story this season was very good, and I think I said it either in one of the videos or in a couple of comments, he needed more time. That's another reason I wanted more out of his storyline, because I feel like they put a lot of time into like good things, but I wish they gave him a little bit more. I feel like the moments he had were fantastic. They could just stretch them out a little bit, because I felt like sometimes they were a bit rushed, and it made you like, not that you didn't want to care, you didn't care as much because you hadn't had as much investment. And I know obviously like time constraints, what they want to show. There's so many things that why he wouldn't have had like the biggest bits. He's not a character in the comic, is he? He's like, was he like a personification of like the narrator or the voice, like, or like us? I don't remember, but I don't think he is in the book. So obviously they're just adding him and adding bits to him and adding a storyline for him, which is fantastic. But I just wish they gave him a little bit more time. Because I want to be invested, and I think his story is super interesting, and he should have a voice, and I just want it to be louder and have more time. And I don't think that's like the worst thing ever. The worst criticism on it. One other, they got a couple more things on him, but you know what I'm also sick of with Isaac? They keep hiding him behind books. I get it. That's his thing. That's his vibe. I love it. I know, I'm pretty sure in the first season, and they might have done it, I'm just not a book person, every book had like, that he had in different scenes was like representing like the mood or the feeling or something about what was going on. I think that's really smart and really fun and really like good. But there's to a point where I want him to be a character, not guy behind book, you know what I mean? Like when we rocked up like the Avengers bloody ready to save the prom, he's just standing there. Do I have any books? I'm just like, do I have any books to grab? Let's grab, okay, yeah, we'll just, oh, Jesus. He just rocks up. I'm just like, you know, like, I can barely see his bloody character because he's hidden behind a book. Like, let him be his own person. I love the book joke in a way, but I do want him to have more than always being, you know, very quiet. I think that's just a gripe with me. I'm a loud you know, I'm not always a loud person. I'm a loud person here, trust me. But I just want him to be able to shine a bit more, and I feel like hindering him behind a book always can be a bit rough. Like, when he was in the bookshop, obviously that's his time to shine, and I think that's really cute and funny. He kept, like, bringing stacks around. But sometimes, again, when they're showing up to prom, he doesn't need to be hidden behind a book. He's not there to read. He's there to help, and, like, he's there as a, you know, a friend of Tara's to help. Like, he's such a caring character. They should have him, you know, shown, like, his focus. I don't know. It just, something about the books slightly annoyed me this season. But that's not the worst thing to be annoyed about. We're going to a comment. And this comment was, I'm reading it out while I'm staring. Obviously, you know. I love the representation, that the show displayed, and it has so much as well. Oh, I'm reading my, okay, don't worry, we'll figure this out. The comment was, they said a closing video, discussion video would be great, and I'd love to hear more of your thoughts on Isaac's storyline. As an Error Ace person myself, I was so glad to see it because we get so little representation, which was fantastic. So, what I wrote, I think I wrote two different things that was kind of the same. I said, I really love this show with all its representation. His self-discovery journey was so interesting. I love the representation that the show displayed. It has so much, and it tries its best to give all of it as much time and respect as it can. I think it was great, and I've said that in my videos, and some of the different comments, that is important to have these representation as a resource for both young queer people and queer people in general. It's just good to see people you can identify with. I think one of the main important points to representation this season was to do with coming out, talking about how you don't owe it to anyone, learning about it. Obviously, as we've said with Nick, and we've seen with Isaac, you know, in the art, at Elle's art show, you know, talking about it, love with that person, with his art display, going to the library, grabbing the book, which I forget what it was titled, but this ties me back to we needed more time. I think seeing him figuring himself out and what he, you know, was vibing, experiencing was fantastic, and I would have loved to see more because, as this person said, we don't have that much, you know, representation on it. What was the wording? I swear to God, I don't have things done as well. You know, we get so little representation as an Error Ace person. And that's why I think they could have had a bit more with Isaac. I would have loved it too. I would have loved to learn more. I feel like it's not one, obviously the representation isn't there. We need more of it. And then people could learn more about it, because I'm not the authority on knowing like all sexualities and different things. Like, I definitely have heaps of learning to do. I think everyone does. I think, you know, you don't have to know everything. That is not a problem, especially when you're kind and accepting and, you know, you support others. But having these moments to learn is fantastic, and that's what I wanted them to give a bit more on, because I'd like to learn more. I'd like to learn more about Era Ace. I don't know that much. I don't know much about a heap of sexualities. I don't know a whole much about a lot of things, to be honest. But I'd love to learn more, hence why I think Isaac needed more time. And I think I've just said that 18,000 times, and I've kind of just tripped over myself, but I confused myself and I didn't put the question in my notes, and I'm crumbling apart. So we're going to move on. Isaac, more time. Isaac, I liked your storyline. I loved you. We want more from you next season. We'll move on. Now we're talking about some of the best, some of the greatest, Yusuf, Nathan, and Coach Singh. Why is Coach Singh? I didn't Google her name. I don't know why I do this. I was going to all have them as they're like Mr. Coach, Mr. And then I just, you know, sometimes planning ain't my strong suit. But the teachers, I felt like they were very impactful to put in. I really liked the way that they tied in, you know, not too much of a teacher's storyline, but they added enough which I felt very connected to them, and I really liked them. I think that I have a lot to talk about with Yusuf, especially as a new character, and just like how he was and structured and what he represented this season. But I think I'm going to save him for more in my relatable. Like, I got a question that was about relatable characters, so he goes there more, and I'll talk about him more. Trust me, don't get me wrong. But I like that they brought the adult characters in, adult relationships in. I thought it was very good because, you know, while the show is, you know, probably targeted for younger audiences or whatever, it has an audience of a lot of different people, and to show a different bracket, you know, people, Yusuf who hadn't come out, you know, Nathan who's, you know, a gay teacher, have them, it was good to see because it relates a lot of other people can relate to it, and putting those adult relationships in is just good. It's good to have. Also, to have queer teachers like shown is fantastic. I think it's just good to show them having good relationships with their students, them being really positive, like Charlie or Nick being able to go to Coach Singh. She's very like a supportive person, you know, someone that is been able to help them, or even in ways where they just can, you know, get past, you know, gay rumors or stuff like that. They can also deal with and empathize with students. I just think having teachers that, you know, are good, you know, queer or not queer, that can just, you know, relate to you and, you know, have a good connection in a way that can see further and, you know, care about a student is fantastic. And, you know, obviously, like, I feel like it reminds me of some of my teachers at school. You know, they were there to teach me things, but when they would care about you more than just like teaching you your, I don't know, ABCs, you know, and cared about you on a personal level, it's always such a special thing that I think a lot of people keep with them when they have like great supportive teachers, and that'll never leave you. And I feel like showing that is just nice. I feel like it's a comfort thing. Obviously, not everyone is probably lucky enough to have really good teachers all the time, but I definitely know like seeing those relationships made me feel happy and like brought back good memories. So for me, I really enjoyed it. I thought the whole teacher aspect was great. But yeah, we'll get more to Yusuf later. But for now, on to Imogen. Imogen, not too much to speak on. All I said was she became better this season. She was already good, but she was just kind of that funny, like, she was a side character. Like, she was in our main, like, kind of group, but also not. She's really, like, evolved this season. I said she was finding, like, her self-worth in like, she's really like learning to just, she's like, fuck these people. I like, I don't need anyone. I'm cool on myself. Like, this is when she's talking to Ben. You don't need to put me down. Just, you're my boyfriend, but you treat me like shit. I dump you. I'm better than this. And it was great to see her just been like, realizing that she didn't need to stand for that crap anymore, which was fantastic. I loved it. And she's really funny. Like, she's a hilarious character. She gives me the giggles, so she's got to be a great character. And I was loving it. I was really vibing Imogen this season. I don't know, I can tell you why, but I also can't, you know what I mean? So Imogen did so well. But yeah, not much from her. She didn't, I feel like there are a lot of people where I think that I should have a lot more dot points on, but also I do talk about it a lot in my reactions. So there's that. But we move on to Ben. Okay, Ben, we all know he sucks. Done. That's it. That's his section. Ben sucks. No, obviously Ben's a very interesting character. There's a lot of like things to say about him, a lot of thoughts. Like, he's complicated, and I like the way they do it, but he's also great to hate, which is fun. But I'm going to start with a comment and then give my thoughts on that, because I think that sums up a lot of the main bits. But the comment was, I'd like you to give some thoughts on Ben, his apology, and if he deserves forgiveness. I've seen comments from both sides, but most wanting forgiveness for him. I'm sure it comes from their own kind hearts and empathy, but which Ben himself lacks. Looking at his behaviour up to this point, he's been cruel and manipulative, and I'm sure he only got with Imogen to talk Nick. The previous words from Ben was that he wanted Charlie back, and I think the apology was a manipulation to open dialogue with Charlie and gain sympathy. If Charlie had give Ben an inch, I bet he had taken it a mile and then run to tell Nick. I think it was a very, first of all, yes. I'll read out what I wrote as my answer, and then we'll talk more about Ben in like a not as formal way. I said, firstly, when it comes to Ben's forgiveness, I get why people would want him to be forgiven. It is clear he has had some issues and is bad or lashes out due to those things, especially from his home life. As a fan of second chances, I would want forgiveness too, but I think he has used up a lot of his chances. Plus, the only person that can say whether he deserves forgiveness or not is Charlie. Or, as I'm adding in parentheses, anyone else that he like fucked over or hurt. It's not up to anyone else, as Charlie is the one affected by what he has done. Though I don't, and then going back, I don't know if dating Imogen was all to get at Nick. I think part of it was used as a disguise so no one suspects his sexual orientation, but also maybe to hold on to some of his popularity, high school things. And yes, if, they gave him anything, he would have tried to run with it. I definitely think, giving Ben a chance to, apologize would just have him too much in your lives again. And Charlie does not need that, especially with what harm he has caused. And, to give the apology is so hard because, Charlie is still really dealing with it. And, he hasn't done anything to, remedy it. Like, he said he's sorry, but that doesn't, fix any of the actual, emotional damage Ben has done, which sucks. And yes, he does. I reckon, I'm all about forgivenesses, second chances. But Charlie is still affected by it. And he also hasn't done anything that great to deserve forgiveness. And it's also not up to me. As I said, I think it's Charlie or anyone else he screwed over. If he wants to apologize to Imogen, he wants forgiveness from her too, that's up to her to give to him. So I think it's very interesting, but yeah, it's hard to hear about, when he was having the talk wanting the apology. He was talking about his home life and, how that's hard and he can't come out and he don't think he ever will be, which, I understand is horrible. That's the worst thing ever, not being able to be accepted by the people you love. and like you can empathize with him so much, but that gives you no excuse to turn around and be a piece of shit to other people. Simple as that. Like, you know, he's a very interesting character because he's good to hate, but you can definitely feel bad for him. But yeah, I don't think at all that he deserves forgiveness in a way. But again, it's not my choice. I also loved the the gay slime. That's what I called it. The like cartoony visual they popped up. It's kind of like a wave. I thought it was really interesting. I think you could like interpret it many different ways. It was kind of just like, to me it was like, it was kind of goodness coming out, stepping into, or even the forgiveness he wanted, and it kind of, in a way, it like washed up to his feet, and that was everything he wanted, is to be embraced by this like wave of rainbows. You know, that's where he wanted to be, and he could have stepped forward into it, which could be him, you know, working on himself. There was a lot of things, but for him to walk away, I think was a big showing of maybe he didn't want to try. He's given up with that. He's just going to maybe probably sadly live a crappy life, you know, maybe hide forever, which is horrible to think about, because obviously I wouldn't want a person to, you know, be sad forever. But I think there's a million different ways you could take what that like cartoon rainbow wave represented, and I think it was very interesting. They definitely added a lot more of like different fun pop-ups this season, which was cool. But that one I thought actually had some real significance, and I'd love to know in the comments what anyone else thought about it, because I definitely think it was important in the way they did it, and the way that it didn't really touch his feet. He didn't step forward into it. He walked away. And I think that was just, there's something about that that has really stuck with me. And I still don't think, I've been thinking about it, trust me. I don't think I'm fully really know what they wanted with that. But I said what I thought about it. But I'd love to know some more. But now we're moving on to Harry. Harry, I don't have much on. I said, you know, I've got one dot point and this is what it reads. I'm fine with second chances. Like Ben, I think he would actually have to earn it if he deserves it. And he can only get the forgiveness from the people he has hurt. Plus, I think it needs to be truly altruistic behavior. Whether anything is done truly for altruism or not, that's a whole separate moral topic, which is like, you know, that was talked about in a course I did at uni, and that's a whole separate issue. But, you know, can altruistic behavior truly be altruistic? That's a whole separate thing. But when they were on the Eiffel Tower and Harry seemed to defend Nick and Charlie, while it was a very small thing, he didn't want anything from them, and it was actually seemed somewhat like kind. I think he said something like, I'll leave them alone. That's like more than he's ever done. So I thought that was very interesting and a very like good progression for him. Though when he apologized the second time, it only seemed like he was apologizing because he wanted to come into Tara's party. And that shouldn't have been the reason he was saying sorry for being such a prick to Charlie. Like, Harry could take this turn in next season if he's still in it, or I thought he might have this season, where he starts, you know, defending them, being like genuine, apologizing, working on himself. And when they were showing those small moments, I thought maybe. But then you have him going, oh, you know, I'm sorry. Can I come into the party now? And you're like, no, like obviously that makes it feel like you're only, you know, doing it for something. You know, you have to apologize because you truly believe it's wrong, and you don't want anything for it. And actually, now I'm going back to Ben with that. I feel like Ben wanted to apologize because he wanted forgiveness. You have to apologize, you know, out of your own heart, knowing it was wrong, not expecting something back. Because you can't expect forgiveness just because you apologize, which I think is a very good topic that they pointed on, and is very interesting with Harry as well. But I do want to see where they go, because from what it seems like, I don't know if Ben's coming back next season, but Harry seems like he would still be there. So I'm been interested to what they what they go with. But our last character that we are looking at is Harry, is Tori.
Drama queen boyfriend's influence. Yeah, mate, well, exactly. That's it.
You are a pathetic little man. Talk about my brother like that again, and I'll end you.
Tori doesn't have much on her, I will say that. She's a very good character, I like her, but she's not in it that much, to be fair. But she's a great sister. Like, sister award goes to Tori. She did so well. Like, I love her protective nature. I think it was so cute. I think it was so funny. Watching her just be ready to absolutely kill, slaughter, hide the body, lie in court about what she did to Nick's brother. She was ready to go the whole mile. It started with slapping the phone, kicking the phone out of his hand, and then she was ready to go to murder or war. I liked it. I liked what she was ready to do for Charlie. It was cute. It was like very comedic, very funny, but I enjoy the sentiment behind it. And she's always been just this fun like character that pops up every now and then. Though a couple of times when she was like to Nick, she was like, "I don't want you to hurt him." I was like, I feel like I get it, but it's the older, like, I don't have siblings, so I can't relate to it, but I can imagine it's just her older sister protection stuff. But I'm like, come on, look at him. He's a Labrador. He's not going to hurt anyone. Or, well, try to hurt Charlie at least. But the only other point I have on Tori is, should I read Solitaire? / This Winter. The other, Heartstopper, Alice Osman. I don't know how to say her last name, I'm sorry. Alice Osman. Should I read their other works? Because I'm interested, and Tori would be interesting to learn more about. I just never, I never read them, and I probably should have, but I just read the comics, and then I was like, cool. But let me know. I know I'm gonna definitely do a book club type-esque thing for reading Red, White, and Royal Blue, which hopefully will be coming maybe next week sometime. If I can read quick enough, I'll be doing it. I won't be reading the whole book. I'll be reading in chapters. I'm a slow reader. But I could even do something for that, for like Solitaire or This Winter, but that would be in a while after Red, White, and Royal Blue. But I just thought I'd add it here, see what we think, if we're vibing it or not. Fantastic. So we're done with the character look-ins. We're not done with... I'm sorry, this is a long video, but some people said they wanted more, so they're getting it. The episode look back, as I said at the start, I don't really think I'm going to go over every episode because, my videos do cover that, which I think, obviously I'm watching it a lot. We're watching it together. You've seen my all my thoughts on what happened. But we're going to go into a character tier list before I have all my other, the rest of the questions and other bits I want to talk about, which I'm so excited about doing. Okay. So, whoa, look at this. Well, you can't see it because it's behind here, but we've got a tier list going on. I hope you can see it okay. Also, I don't know who made this. I don't know how this tier list works. So I'm not trying to steal content, but thank you for making this tier list. The tier list site confuses me. I don't know if anyone else has been on it, but it's a bloody confusing place. And I looked through a good couple because I tried to find the one with the most characters because I wanted the one where I could rank the most. Also, these are precious, great, good, meh, garbage. I would have done SA, I would have done the letter ones, but these are just as good. So we'll just go from the start across. We have Charlie. Charlie is... Oh, it's hard because if it was like S tier, A tier, to me Charlie's A tier, but he is precious. Like, that word's really throwing me off. Ay, can I change the tiers? I can change them. Hold your horses. We've got this sorted now. I like these better because great and precious were too hard for me to distinguish. People were precious, but they weren't in my top tier. Charlie, you're going to A tier, babes. S tier is just, well, it's gonna be, I love Charlie, don't get me wrong. Like, Charlie's the best. I want nothing more. He is precious. To me, I want nothing more for him to, like, be happy and protected. I love him. But he can be top of A tier. S tier, my boy Nick Nelson. I'm a Nick Nelson person. Like, I know, like, I feel bad. I saw like a poll on YouTube the other day that was like Nick or Charlie, and a lot of people like voted on Nick, and it really hurts because like I feel bad for the character Charlie Spring, but I feel like a lot of people just like wanted Nick Nelson, which is like me included, but he's very endearing. Like, that's the way it was gonna be, and obviously people are gonna like characters over other characters. So yeah, Nick's gonna be top of S. L, definitely A tier. Like, she's the best. Like, not above Charlie though, because Charlie is a sweetie. We do love Charlie a lot. Tao. Now, Tao's interesting. You give me Tao in season 1. Tao's like a B tier. You give me Tao season 2, S. Tao is S tier. He got me. He caught me so off guard, and I love him so much. Like, it's just the way they've done things to make him so like good. It's hard not to love him. God, Tao's done so. Sorry, I'm just like losing myself in the fact of how much I like Tao. Darcy and Tara. Darcy gets A tier because Darcy really gripped me with her storyline this season, and you know, I love her and protect her. Tara's hard because I'm like, Tara's A tier. I felt like she had a better, I don't know if this is for like the universe, season 1 or 2 or combined. Season 1, I feel like Tara had more storylines. She didn't have the most this season, but she's still A tier. Imogen, I want to give her S tier just for this photo alone. I think this photo of her is so good. It's like so fun and color. Imogen has something on me. Imogen's A tier. I love it. I feel like she's like logistically B tier, but there's just something about her I like so much. Isaac, top of B tier. Again, I've said it, I like Isaac, but A, I want him to have more time so I can like him more. B, he's just always hiding behind a book, and there's no problem with that. It's just, you know, look, he's got such a sweet smile. I want to see his face. They keep hiding behind a book. Now, I knew this would happen. I don't remember your... Character 1, I don't remember your name. New friend. I feel bad. You know, there's going to be at least like 4 characters I don't remember their names. You're number 1. If anyone has watched any of my content, this or anything included, you know I'm not a names person. It's nothing against, you know, any of the characters. I'm just, names go in one ear, out the other. I'm useless. So, we haven't known much about you. I liked it when you said, can you speak French? I thought that was really funny. Or else, you play the guitar. That was cool. Don't know much more about you. Tori. Tori's A tier just for like kicking the phone. Like, simply enough. Oh, should I be doing... Yeah, we'll do that. This is very like... I feel so like... We're having a personal moment because like I feel like this is very like in depth on like my psyche or what my thoughts. I don't know. This is very, I feel like a tier list is so personal. Oh my word. Nathan, I really do like you. He's B tiers now, apparently like the tier of like you don't get enough screen time tier, which is true for these guys because I love them, but I want more on them. Nathan, you're such a fun character and I want more from you. Ben, easy. Ben's A tier. How long could I hold a serious face for? Ben's D tier. Ben's trash. D for in the dumps. D for he's a dick. D for a doofus. I couldn't think of any more names. Ben sucks. We don't like him. Like, I can empathize with him, but I don't like him. Bash, like his actor, A tier. Actor, cutie patootie, love him. Yeah. Ben sucks. I could do one with, I'm not going to, but I could do one with actors, but I don't know them all well enough. Yusuf, my main man, top of B tier. Top of the tier, which we don't get enough of. I want way more from you. I really like you. I relate to him as a character so much. He was like a standout this season, and I loved it so much. Harry, you can be above. Oh God, you did say the F slur last season, but you sexually assaulted Charlie. God, okay, we're not ranking them off. What's the least worst thing to do? Harry, I feel like could, he could make a comeback. He could really try to be a good person. Whereas I feel like Ben has given up on that. You know what I mean? So I'm putting Harry above Ben. Is that controversial? I hope not. James, I'm pretty sure that's your name. You can be top of C tier. People I don't care that much about or have opinions on, but you're not bad. D's like the bad people tier. Miss Singh. Oh, fucking love you too. She's so fun. I love the way she, loves Charlie. I love the way she loves Charlie. That's Nathan, that's why I like you too. She's just like hilarious in my opinion. You are too, but she's just so funny. When she caught them, that gave me like such serotonin. That was the cutest, funniest thing ever, and I loved it so much. So you're still under Yusuf though. I love him. Brother, oh brother. He's worse than Ben just because he's so fucking annoying. You know what I mean? He just like doesn't let go, trying to out Nick. Fucking be a little bitch, complain, be homophobic or biphobic. He just sucks. Like, he's the epitome of sucking. And Ben's probably, like, done worse things, but I hated it. He did such a good job being bad. So, you get bottom of D tier. Charlie's mum. I feel like Charlie's mum gets bad flack for this. She can be top of C tier. Charlie's mum, I understand that people might not have liked her because she like separated them. I know why Charlie was mad, but I agree. Schoolwork's important. She's a parent. She wants that for you. You know what I mean? When you have a parent that wants you to do well academically, they're going to care about how you're doing in school, which is, good that she cares at least. So while she didn't want them seeing each other, it's just because she wanted you to do well in your schoolwork, and that's fine. She might not be super understanding of like, what you got going on, but I still think she cares, so I like her. Your dad can go at the bottom of B tier because obviously it sucks. I like him. He got the good cop situation. Like, she was bad cop, he was good cop. So unfortunately, he ranks above you because he was kind of nicer, so we like him a bit more. Oh, this is tough. Nelly, you know what? Nelly is a dog. I've got to be realistic. Nelly's like a cutie patootie. Like, I love Nelly. Nelly's so cute. But Nelly doesn't actually say anything or do anything. So Nelly can be S tier because dogs are adorable, but technically you haven't really done much, Nelly. You're a great actor, don't get me wrong, but you haven't said anything. So that's there. Okay, Mrs. Nelson. I don't know. I really like Olivia Colman and supportive parents, so she gets there because it was fun. She was good. I like how she just yelled at the brother. Oh, should I put it? No, I'm letting the actor cloud my judgment. She can be, you know what? She can be in A tier because everyone else is in it more and is more impactful. But don't get me wrong, I do love you. Nick's dad, forget your name too. He can be like, yeah, he kind of sucked. You know, you're on the kind of you're in the dump tier. You're in the dump tier, but you haven't done the worst things ever. You know what I mean? Like, oh no, you're kind of neglectful. You suck. Like, he sucks, but it's not like you're out here doing as bad as these three. These bottom three, you know, special place in hell for you guys. That's a bit mean, but oh well. Oh, Tao's mum. Can I put Tao? Oh, the mums. The mums need a different tier, like sweet mums. Tao's mum was adorable. I loved her being in this more. I didn't have a look back on her, but she's just so cute. To love Elle so much and be so excited when Tao got in a relationship, and just to accept Elle is like beautiful. And then she was just I don't know. She was just so much fun talking about the way she talked about her late husband, which was like beautiful to hear. She's just a sweet soul. She's always excited. She's so cute. I don't know. Adorable. Our two friends. Well, you had more of a personality, so you can go there. But you guys were cool. You didn't get much time to talk. You talked a bit more, so you can go. I remember you talking the most. You not as much. You not at all. So that's just my memory. That's me based off how many words I can remember them saying. Also, yeah, I don't remember. And you know what? Actually, you can go higher because you were like, we're still your friend, and I think it's nice. He was really trying. Can he go into? You know what? You're going into B tier. You're getting a promotion because you were actually like fairly solid this season, and they've cut it off in the pitch here, but that's like the three of you. I'll include the three of you in this. You guys were nice. I was very much enjoying it. But that's us. That's my final tier list. That's what I'm thinking of this season. Let me know where you would have moved people around. Obviously, my tier list doesn't actually matter. It's just my opinions and like who I like the most. Like I would probably put Nick on a tier like above, and you know maybe Ben and the brother on one below. But for what we've got, S, A, B, C, D. This is what we're going for, and I hope you enjoyed the the tier list segment. We're on to the other section. I can't believe I've been talking for this long. You probably can't believe it too, but I hope someone's enjoying it. I hope you've made it this far. Thank you to anyone who's made it this far, but we've got things to say, you know. So, one real quick thing that I want to add that I had a fun conversation with about in the comments. I'll add the comment here, but we're talking about exams because I made a comment about how Nick just opened up, what do they do? GCSEs. And he just had to, she just said start and they started their exams. We do it differently down here. In Australia, I don't know if it's all Australia, but I would like to assume maybe, at least my state, we get reading time, which I feel like is a really weird concept. But I thought it was a really normal thing. But when we're in our like final years and doing our final like exams, you know, for us it's our final 2 years, like year 11 and 12, or you could have some of your hard ones in year 10. But we have reading time in our exams. We go into our exams, we, you know, sit at our seat, our individual. It was also weird that I think in the actual exam they're all spaced out, but we go there, we sit down, you're only allowed, you know, your certain amount of things on your table or what you're allowed in, water bottle on the ground. Nothing with labels, you know, all that strict stuff, which I assume a lot of other countries do. But we sit down, say it's a math exam, which is really weird, or, literature exam is what one I chose, or like drama, theatre, art, blah, 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 anything. They say, okay, your reading time starts now. And you get 10 to 15 minutes time to just read your exam. It's like, it's kind of that moment to me of like, to decide whether you're screwed or not. But it's also good. Like, I think it's a really good thing. So you can just go through it, if you've got prompts for like an essay or two, you read your prompts, you decide which ones to go. You go first, go second, understand them. You can like start jotting down some like bullet points in your head, because in our reading times, you're also not allowed to touch any pens or pencils. So you have to read. You get 15 minutes. If you want to read or not, that's up to you, but you're not allowed to touch anything. You have to just read. So I think it was really good to have that time to just, figure out a plan for your exams. If it's math, you can just like look over the sections you maybe like think you're a bit screwed on, and like have a look at that and be like, oh God, like these are the ones maybe I'll work on first because it'll take me the most time. Like for an essay, you figure it out. I thought it was just good. I don't know. In a way, I didn't think it was like the norm, but it is the norm. So it's just what I knew. But getting to talk about it's fun. I like cultural difference videos with when I was like 12 to 16, they were my favorite thing to watch on YouTube. Any of the big YouTubers, I was like, British versus US, like how we say things, foods. They were my favorite things. So getting to talk about it is fun, because also they would always do you'd get British versus US and you'd get them all the time, and then every now and again you'd get an Aussie jumped in there as well, and you'd get to be like, yes, Australia, we get to talk about things, which is so funny. But yeah, that's how exams work. We have 10 to 15 minutes reading time before all exams, not allowed to touch anything, and it's also the best thing ever, because I don't know, I think it helps, I think it's worthwhile. But that's all I need to say on that. I just thought it was a fun topic to bring up. Now, another comment I had was, and I think I broke it up because there was a couple of different things. Top 3 Heartstopper scenes per season or overall. Now, how are you going to do that to me? I can't pick 3. I'm an indecisive person, but I love it. I've picked my favorite scenes, maybe not limited to 3. And I'm just going to run... These are in no particular order, but I just quickly went through them. I went through all the episodes to refresh myself to see all the bits I liked. From season 1, Nick and Charlie's first kiss. That one I wrote down, it came to mind. When they're at Harry's party, that was just, it was so cute. It filled me with so much, adorable, it was lovely. Sorry, I'm just, gushing thinking about it. When the blue pen exploded.
Ollie, you don't have a tissue, do you? My pen just, exploded. It's not coming off.
You're gonna be blue forever.
It looks like I'm wearing blue gloves. You can make it the new school fashion. I'll pretend it's a tattoo.
I thought that was hilarious, so cute. It was such a small scene, but I remembered it from the comics, and it was great. I wrote, Snow Day, how could I forget? Season 1 was just full of too many cute moments that it was hard to be I only this is my top one. The presents, getting his present at Charlie's birthday in the arcade, that's probably...
Sorry, it's a bit handmade. That was just one of my favourite days ever, so...
That's the top one. Oh, that was disgustingly cute. Oh, that hurt. I can't think about season 1 for too long, or I get depressed. So, Nick realizing his bisexual awakening was to Elizabeth Swann and Will Turner from Pirates of the Caribbean.
Don't stop.
I thought that was so funny. I don't. That's not my like top. It wouldn't make the top 3, but I had to put it down. It was just so funny. I love like as a kid, I loved Pirates of the Caribbean. And I get it. You know, Will Turner, I get it. So it was so funny just for that to be it. I thought it was amazing. And then the beach day where they become boyfriends and Nick comes out to his mum. Like,
There we go. Whoa. You're my boyfriend. I'm your boyfriend. We're boyfriends.
that's perfect. Obviously, I bought the shirt. I liked it so much. But probably it's going to be Nick and Charlie's first kiss, number 3. Beach day is number 2, and Present in the Arcade number 1. That's we're gonna go for that. Snow Day is a close number 4. And then for season 2, I had my favorite moments. We had Nick and Charlie kissing in the sports shed.
Boys, I need.
/ and getting caught. Hilarious, so funny. It just brings me with so much joy. Tao getting a new look for Elle, and then their first kiss in Paris was just
You can force him to love you.
so exciting. Yusuf yelling quiet at any point.
Quiet!
Hilarious. When Nick was recharging on Charlie on his shoulders.
What are you doing? Just recharging.
I thought that was so precious and that hurt my soul, but I loved it so much. Charlie telling Nick about his eating issues and self-harm issues. Now that's not a favorite moment because I thought it was like, you know, cute or something. I'm not gonna fucking... I thought it was a favorite moment because I thought it was so important. Obviously, favorite doesn't have to be the cutest, funniest, loveliest. I thought it was just such an important scene, and it was so good to see Charlie, you know, get it out there and Nick to hear, and the acting was amazing, and it was just so emotional. It just couldn't stand out as such an important, impactful scene. So that's why it's one of my favorites. It was just done so well and so brilliantly. I think it was amazing, which basically, well, it was. And then I said Nick and Charlie in suits at the prom being out as boyfriends. Which I thought was the cutest thing ever. But top 3 moments probably, you know, Charlie talking about his, because I thought that was so important and serious. Second, Tao and Elle, you know, their first kiss, Tao getting the new look. They go kind of hand in hand, even though they're very separate points in time. They're just so special of Tao. And then number 1 has to be Nick recharging on Charlie. I think that scene was just... It was very small, but it was just so precious. It was so cute. It was so lovely. It felt so real too. And just, you know, everyone has that feeling when they're socially, they're done. They tapped out, their batteries are out, and, you know, to have that person to recharge, it was amazing to see visualize, or like realized, and I thought it was such a good scene, which I liked. But now, we're going into most relatable characters, which is another part of one of the questions or comments from YouTube. So with the most relatable characters, I'll read to what I wrote and then I will go into it further. Yusuf was a big one. I think all the characters are relatable in a way, and it's designed like that. We can find points of ourselves in all of them. It was why it's such a good show. But also Nick and Charlie, not knowing when to come out and feeling like you need to on a deadline. Definitely with Nick, I very much related to him in that sense. And then being bullied like Charlie, I feel like a lot of this isn't a... When you talk about bullying, it's so weird. You don't you want to be honest about it, but you're also it's weird. It's sometimes weird vocalizing things to people on the internet. I love it. Don't get me wrong. But getting personal can be slightly strange. And I wrote in brackets, not looking for sympathy. I've been bullied. Like, I have dealt with that. You know, I think a lot of people have, you know, especially when you're younger and as a kid. I've been mean to people. I've said things I shouldn't. People have said things they shouldn't to me. I don't think it was to any of the horrible extent that has happened to Charlie that happened to me. Like, but things like stick in your mind, and like I definitely have thought about it through the years. Like some things when it's not to such a serious extent, you can like compartmentalize, unpack, move on, process, which I've done. Like I still have things that I think about, and I'd be like, oh, someone said that once, and I won't do this sort of thing. I won't wear that. I don't want to look like that. There's always going to be things like that. But I think that it is a big thing for people relating to Charlie, is I feel like everyone's had, and I was saying this back when we were talking about him, there's a lot of people who have been bullied, and I think there are a lot of people that also hold on to things that people have said, maybe not in a bully-esque fashion, but have been rude or mean, and you will hold on to. And I think that's a lot of why Charlie, you can empathize and sympathize with him so much, is because I feel like everyone knows what that's like, and it's something that everyone can share, unfortunately. But Yusuf was a big one. I feel like I wanted to, when his scene came on, and this is why I said I was going to talk about him later, I was going to go into a very personal talk, but sometimes I just stop myself. So I was like, I'll add it here at, an hour and a half or so into this video, hide it. But I feel like Yusuf is very tough for a lot of people because they see themselves in him. He's a character that I think was added for a reason, because he is very, well, also he could have been in the comics, I forget. But I feel like a lot of people can relate to him. He was my biggest part of nearly crying this season when he was saying, these kids having their special moments, him not coming out until, or realizing he was gay to his in his late 20s, 30s, I don't remember what age it was, or young 20s, but not coming out, him missing those special moments,
Oh, when you don't figure out you're gay into your late 20s, tend to miss out on those beautiful gay teenage experiences.
I feel like a lot of people, me included, figure out who you are a lot earlier than when you come out. And I feel, and this is why I relate to Nick, at some point I felt like I needed to come out to a lot of people on a deadline, because when you're young, I feel like that's what you think you have to do. And I did that, and I was fine. We're not going into that. But, I was very sorry. I should not diminish that. I was very lucky with, my friends and family and people I've told. It was, a great experience. And I'm very happy in the way all my closest friends took it, because they're amazing and I love all my friends. But the thing I relate with Yusuf is so much is when he said, he missed out on those special moments in high school. That just struck a chord with me. That was so sad, and I relate to it so much, because when you're not out in high school and you see a lot of people, having those first times, I think this happens with a lot of queer people, is you see, especially in media and people around you, a lot of them are, getting girlfriends or boyfriends or in heterosexual relationships, and they're, having these firsts, and you feel a bit left out. And while, you could come out, even when you have a perfectly safe, friendship group, family to come out to, it's still never not going to be a stressful thing. And a lot of people decide not to for some amount of time or a very long amount of time. And unfortunately, a lot of people miss it. I hope it is changing. I hope people are coming out earlier and, having beautiful experiences and having supportive friends and schools and things. But I don't think that was the case it wasn't for me, and I don't think for a lot of people. I think that's why Yusuf is such or if not the most relatable character, because it hits harder for a lot of people that also didn't get to experience those beautiful younger relationship moments and firsts, which is very hard and sad to think about. And that is also why season 1 can be so tough for a lot of people. But I think it's, it's a thing that you really have to go on a journey with yourself. And I feel like I've dealt with those emotions for myself, and I feel like a lot of people probably do. Whereas, you just have to, unfortunately, accept that fact and just, live the life you want to from when you accept that forward. When you have to be sad about it because it sucks, but you want to know that feeling. No one wants to know that feeling, but you have to realize that, to know that you want to do whatever you can to be happy and proud and do the things you want to do from there onwards, which I think is a good lesson. I don't think anyone should go with it, and I'm just happy if no one had to come out, or people came out earlier and everything was, but for the people who had to experience that, identifying those things I think is important going forward, which is, it's a topic that is hard to articulate or talk through, but I think it's important to get that ball rolling in a way. But enough on that one. I feel like I'm looking at myself going, am I going to be sad or not? I'm trying to figure out my own emotions looking in the camera. I'm good. I just didn't know how to segue to the next topic. I promise I'm good. But we're going to another part of a comment, hopes and predictions for season 3. Now, hopes and predictions for season 3. I don't have many. I generally don't think often. I don't have many thoughts. But hopes and predictions for season 3. All I want them to do is the I love you scene well. We got teased with that at the end. I'm pretty sure we saw Charlie delete the text, or he definitely didn't send it, because we don't think he will, because I think a lot of people want the I love you scene done like it will be done, like it was done in the comments. I said that needs to be done in a perfect way, even though I hate the word perfect, because it's just such a good scene. I want it to be amazing, you know what I mean? And I feel like putting a lot of hope and pressure on that, and the word perfect really screws that, I could be let down by it. But it's just such a good scene, and I know they'll do it justice, but it's just, that's my only hope, that scene is done so well and fun and cute and adorable, and I just want it to be filled with emotion and love. And their acting's obviously there. It's going to be acted phenomenally. I just hope, the music, lighting, it's all just done so well, and I'm very excited for it. And that's really it. And there's also least favorite storyline. I wrote, there is no least favorite for me. There were just ones that weren't impactful as others, you know what I mean? I felt like Elle's art school, I loved it. I love what that was for her. Just sometimes all the getting in and stuff, obviously it's important for her character. It just wasn't the most interesting. I wanted her to be with Tao, I wanted that to progress and not the art stuff. But the art stuff, was the thing giving them the conflict. And then I just said Isaac wasn't given enough time. And I said the same as Nathan and Yusuf, their cute storyline. They didn't get enough time. It's just some things didn't get enough time. Some things didn't interest me as much. And I said from season 1, some of the rugby stuff. There was a lot of running laps, doing rugby drills. I know it was important, but sometimes I just want more cutesy stuff. And then, are you excited? We're on the last question, so I will stop talking. Again, if you made it this far, thank you. I love you. You're doing so well. Having to listen to this for close to 2 hours. Wow. I have just been talking. But our last question was, comment question, how do you think season 2 compares with the first season? I've heard people say the first season was too idealistic, not realistic enough. I think the second season may have changed some opinions. Now, I'll read you out. I wrote a little response. We'll talk about it. Then we'll end this little thing we've got going on. But I said, I think a part of me was scared that season 2 wasn't going to able to hold its own against season 1, and I was very wrong. Though they were very different and hard to compare, I think season 1 was a bit idealistic if they were meaning that it was too perfect in the way they fell in love. I really do hope that this is the way for like young queer people, though I don't think it would be the case. And I think people would see this idealistic season and think it was due to a lot of people not having experiences like this when they were younger. Like that's why they think it would be deemed idealistic, because it's hard to see that when you didn't get to experience it. I think that is what led a lot of people to have the season 1 Heartstopper depression, because it was this perfect fantasy a lot of people would have wanted to have when they were young. Yes, that's why season 1 crushed me. This is not to throw any shade at season 1. I think season 2 was great in the way that everyone's storylines felt more mature and serious, with still keeping all the cutesy heartstopperness that we love. I think that is also the reason personally I didn't feel as empty after this season, because it was just full of things I was I think it was also the reason I personally didn't feel as empty, because the season wasn't just full of things I was craving / missed out in my youth, which is true. I think that the way season 2 handled things was just very full storylines, where season 1 in a way was kind of one continuation of one story. You really had the Nick and Charlie plotline leading most of the season and consuming most of it, and it was beautiful and it was cute and as I said, people may have thought of idealistic because of how lovely it was and good for them, and how it was just done and how they were accepted and everything was going well for them. I've seen that a lot on different things on the season 1 of Heartstopper. Everyone was like, it's too perfect, it's too easy, which I can understand. Obviously, it's also a TV show, so, you know, you have to bear that in mind. But season 2 kind of split. You have the Nick and Charlie, but you have all these other storylines also been super serious, super impactful, super interesting, a bit more than season 1. And I don't feel like I like one or the other more, or they compare even that well, because they feel very different. Like the feeling I had after them while watching them is very different. The heartstopperiness is the same. I still feel so like joyed and lovely and cutesy, but again, the first one just left me empty because I was so sad after it, because I was like, no, this is what I want and this is what I want and I want this and I love it. Season 2, I was like, wow, the the topics were so enriching, like the representation was great, like I loved thinking about it. Also, for me, I feel like it's different because Heartstopper, the first time and then the first 10 times after that I watched the season, I watched it, alone, and you are there to sit with your thoughts. I feel like it is very different to react to something, because I reacted to season 1, but that was a commentary, whereas season 2 I did, my reaction. And to be able to talk through things, like, as you're processing them, I think really helps with that, like, process. Like, things may not get you as, like, down, or, you might not be as saddened by things, because I feel like I have everyone here that's watching to talk to. I can, process my emotions, talk about it, may get people to talk about it in the comments. I get this wonderful way to just, give what I'm thinking to everyone, which is really fun, and I think really makes it a different experience. So I don't know if my experience is the same as people who watched it, but again, you can get to watch it the second time along with me, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. I know we all watch it a million times, and then talk about it if you want in the comments. So I think it's very interesting. Everyone perceives them differently. I think they were both fantastic seasons, and they both hold separate special places in my heart because they achieve different things. I don't know. I thought it was fantastic, and I love that question because, I think they're both amazing and they're both different, and they both kind of set out to do different things. And I can't even begin to wait to think of what season 3 is going to be like, because obviously I know different things from the comments, what that could be like, you know, some serious topics, some crazy topics, could be a lot. But I'm just so like I love it. I love thinking about this season compared to the last and what we could have in the third season. And I don't know, I'm excited. I'm excited for what's to come. Well, this was fun. This brings us to the end. I surprisingly have no more to say. I don't know. I'm very happy that people wanted some more thoughts on Heartstopper, and I have been very happy to oblige. Obviously, I had some thoughts because I've talked for, currently for me, before I edit it down, well, I'm not going to edit it down, but I'm going to cut all the silent bits out, but nearly 2 hours I have been talking. I need to go have some like tea or water because my throat is on fire. But thank you for letting me chat for a while and get all this out. It's been very it's been therapeutic in a way, because I know, like, after a season like this, you just want to talk so much about it. And I have a couple of like good friends that I talk to about these shows, and like I can get it off, but sometimes you just have so much you want to say, you want to get everything out. So this has really given me that vessel to put it out there. And I hope anyone who got to the end of this, you're amazing. You're a trooper, having to listen to me for well over an hour, I'll say that. So thank you. Let me know any thoughts you had. I'd love to talk more about it in the comments. What you agree with, disagree with. Obviously, my opinions are, you know, they're my opinions. They could be wrong, perceived. We will talk about it. I think that'd be really fun. What you liked. Let me know your top 3 favorite moments, because that's a nice one that I can really like be involved with. Yeah, wow, this is like a podcast. Let me know. Sorry, me just looking at the time ticking over 2 hours. Let me know if I should read the other things that Alice has done, because I'd love to know that. Obviously, I wouldn't be getting to it super quickly or anything, but I'd still like to know. Yeah, I don't think there'd be enough content for me to make another one, but let me know. I can talk more. I can talk for way too long. I got a talking problem. I need to shut up more often. But I will let you go, because you don't need to hear any more from me. Again, thank you for watching season 2 and my reactions to it. It meant a lot. All the, you know, comments and stuff were really nice. Most of the time, and supportive, and it was really great to hear from people. Let me know anything else. I'll ask for it. Anything else you'd want to see me watch, TV shows, movies, that'd be great. I'm always looking out for things to watch, whether that be fun things like Heartstopper and Queer, or anything really, because I like, all things are fun. And yeah, that's about it. I thank you very much for liking and subscribing if you'd like to. That also means the world. And I hope to see you in something Heartstopper or not soon. So thanks for watching.